Dark Magician of Team Sorcerers here, and welcome back to What If Wednesday. Another back-to-back one, and another one about Hypno-Disc, my favourite robot from Robot Wars. I swear this is the last one for now, about Hypno-Disc. And this is another one that got me thinking, because in the previous one, I mentioned about how Hypno-Disc's only hope of beating Tornado would be if Tornado accidentally fell in the pit. So that brings us to the point of the video. What if, during their fight in the Series 6 semi-finals, Tornado did accidentally go down the pit? I mean, something like that is plausible. That could happen. I mean, look at the following fight between Tornado and Dominator 2. Tornado ran into Matilda's flywheel, span up in the air, and almost landed in the pit. So, yeah, it just goes to show anything can happen. So, I mean, obviously I'm not criticising any driving here. I mean, there are some very good drivers in Robot Wars, but yeah, let's just say it did happen. So, you know, Tornado and Hypno-Disc are battling it out, and Hypno-Disc almost goes into the pit, and then instead of Tornado almost driving into the pit as well, it does accidentally fall in, or maybe end up on the edge of the pit, and Hypno-Disc takes advantage of this and shoves it in. So this would mean that Hypno-Disc goes through and Tornado goes into the loser's melee with Bigger Brother and Spawn again. Now, of course, Spawn again, like I said before, is still having some interference problems, so it's not exactly winning this fight. So it's more of a tussle between Bigger Brother and Tornado, and yeah, Tornado would end up using the scoop because, well, at the very least during the time of Series 6 and Extreme 2, the team always used the scoop against robots with flippers. But unfortunately this does ultimately backfire, because this plays out pretty much the same way as the All-Stars fight in Extreme 2, with Bigger Brother flipping Tornado over and pushing it around more easily, and Tornado can't really push very well when it's upside down. Well, unless of course said robot has flat sides, like Leveler 2 for instance. But you know, yeah, this does end up playing out the same way as their eventual real fight in the real timeline, and Tornado is put in the pit, followed by Spawn again. So Bigger Brother prevails and then gets battered by Terahertz, while Hypno-Disc goes on to fight Dominator 2 instead of Tornado. And now I already covered this fight in the episode What If Hypno-Disc fought Razor and Chaos 2 instead of Dominator 2 and Spawn again. But yeah, it goes a similar way, only less dull, with Hypno-Disc just constantly striking the side of Dominator 2 and doing some damage, but not a lot, considering its titanium is the same grade that's used on nuclear submarines. Actually, I wonder how the hell they were able to get hold of it. But yeah, anyway, so that happens, and yeah, Dominator 2 can't really do that much. Unfortunately, Hypno-Disc prevails. So Hypno-Disc is in the grand final instead of Tornado, you know, joining Razor, Firestorm 4 and Terahertz. But who would fight whom? Um, I mean, I feel like, again, um, just to make it match the timeline as much as possible, along with the fact that the producers would probably want a Razor versus Hypno-Disc final. Razor still fights Terahertz and beats it, and then Firestorm 4 would fight Hypno-Disc. But yeah, unlike the Series 5 version of Hypno-Disc, I don't think the Series 6 version can do much against Firestorm 4, since Firestorm 4 is an absolute beast of a robot. It's the most aggressive version yet, whereas Hypno-Disc's disc isn't as impressive as the one used in Series 4 and 5. It's not able to do that much damage, it gets flipped all over the place. Yeah, Firestorm is more likely to win. So Hypno-Disc and Terahertz face each other in the playoff, and Hypno-Disc is able to do some damage, although even if Terahertz gets a few strikes in, it ends up breaking down, because it never fully recovered from the fight with Razor. Not really. So Terahertz ends up still finishing 4th, and Hypno-Disc finishes 3rd for once. So now the grand final is between Razor and Firestorm 4, and again, this would play out the same way as if it was the final of the second All-Stars tournament, sadly. So, I say sadly, like that's a really bad thing, but yeah. Yeah, we love Razor. Well, most of us anyway. So Razor wins and becomes the second robot to keep the UK title. But now it does make me wonder if there'll be different pairings for the All-Stars, and whether or not Razor still wins that, and whether the pairings stay the same, well, the early ones and the round 2 ones, but we have different results. I don't know. So yeah, Razor would in fact enter Series 7, but I already covered what would happen if Razor returned for Series 7 in an earlier episode, so I'm not going to go over it again. But if the producers weren't that bothered about a Razor versus Hypno-Disc final, then Razor would fight Hypno-Disc and Firestorm 4 would fight Terahertz. And again, because this is the Series 6 setting, Razor would be able to beat Hypno-Disc. Now, I know in the real timeline Terahertz did lose to Firestorm 4, but that was because it broke down, because it never fully recovered from the fight with Razor. But since this is a healthy Terahertz, Firestorm just gets clobbered and isn't able to move freely enough. And even if it survives to a judge's decision, Terahertz would win. Then Firestorm 4 would beat Hypno-Disc in the playoff again and finish 3rd again. So Razor and Terahertz meet again in the final this time, but it's a bit uneventful and just ends too quickly, because it would play out the same way as their fight in the real timeline, with Terahertz just not getting a chance to hit Razor with the axe, and Razor just getting in quickly and dumping it in the pit quickly. So, yeah, Either way, it would still end with Razor keeping the title. But alternatively, if by some miracle Hypno-Disc was able to beat Razor, then we'd have a more interesting grand final on our hands. Now, the playoff again would be Razor against Firestorm, and Razor gets the bronze. But you know, the grand final would be more of an epic clash. Hypno-Disc, who'd been this far before, but sadly lost to Chaos too, and Terahertz, who also had never been this far before, and this is the furthest that an Axe robot had ever got. So, yeah, I know I said Hypno-Disc would be more likely to win, but at the same time, I guess it would depend who would get to whom first, but I feel like Hypno-Disc would still be able to get to Terahertz first and rip through the sides, maybe knock bits off, and immobilise Terahertz on one side. So, yeah, in that case, Hypno-Disc would win the title and finally become the grand champion. Although, in that situation, there would be a really awkward situation as well, because despite being seeded, Terahertz isn't, doesn't end up performing in Series 7, along with the fact that Hypno-Disc didn't enter due to work commitments, along with the fact that Derek Rose and his wife had a daughter. Although, if there was a way for Hypno-Disc to enter, then it would return as the reigning champion. But again, I did already cover what would happen if Hypno-Disc did return for Series 7, so I'm not going to go over it again. So yeah, that's basically what would happen if Tornado accidentally fell in the pit during its fight with Hypno-Disc. So Razor would more than likely keep hold of its title and be the second robot to defend the title, or if Hypno-Disc is able to get past Razor, depending on whether or not they would face off in the grand final eliminator, then Hypno-Disc would finally win the series. And yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching.